What's up guys, it's Z here, welcome back. Today, since the year is coming to a close, we decided to take a look back at the year of 2020 and take a look at the 10 most broken cards that we got from those sets throughout the year. So we're going to do a little throwback today. So before we begin, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming content. And now, let's take a look at this list. Number 10, Access Code Talker. Talk about having an OTK machine on legs that can pretty much board wipe an entire board. Boral Sword was one thing, but once we got this card, a lot of decks, their power issues were just solved with this card, especially with stuff like Needle Fiber and Selene being out. It was so easy to make this card because it required only 2 monsters instead of having at least 3, like Boral Sword did. So decks like Sky Striker and stuff saw a lot of success because any consistent deck that had control power and stuff that did not really have something to OTK with or do damage with, this card was the solution because it was so powerful that it was like 5300 beater that could pop at least 3 cards from your opponent's field. So yep, really good card and a great way to start this list. Number 9, Triple Tactics Talent. This card, especially when called by the Grave got banned, got limited, this was actually became the star of the year because it was just the solution. It did everything that Called by the Grave did, just better, because not only were you playing around hand traps by drawing 2 instead of negating the hand traps, which is one way of playing around hand trap, but it also was out to stuff that we needed outs for, like Dragoon, because we did with sound target ability, it really needed something to get rid of it, and Triple Tactics Talent having 3 banned cards combined into one really powerful card. Number 8, Magician Souls. This card made the Master Rule 4 end the same way it began, with Spiral being tier 0. Talk about reviving a deck completely. Spiral was unplayable for such a long time, but just this card made the deck so broken again, because the synergy it had with Master Plan and Rescue was absolutely insane. By just sending Master Plan to the grave and then digging Rescues for more cards and then bringing back Master Plan for all the advantage, this card made the deck unstoppable again, and it ended up being the solution for having a deck that was pretty much unplayable because of one certain ban list that put 3 cards at 1, and now Master Plan is banned, so yep, the deck is unplayable again. But Souls is not only the solution for Spirals, a lot of decks kept using it. We saw it in Luna Lights, and I'm pretty sure that even though Souls is not seeing so much play right now, in the future when a deck arrives that has a lot of synergy with this card, we are definitely going to see this card again, so do not sleep on this card. This card has definitely not been power creep completely. Number 7, Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. We were expecting this to make such a big splash. It did not make the splash we wanted in the meta, but holy hell did this card make budget and rogue decks so much better, because yes, when you're playing a meta tier 1 deck, you don't really need that extra negate because your deck is already powerful enough to compete on its own. But if you're playing random stuff, by just incorporating this in your deck, you can just make it so much better, and it's so easy to summon this with Anaconda. And I know it's being boring because everyone says that their spice is Dragoon, but it's not really a spice because everyone is doing it, but still it's something that can win you games just by itself. So I don't think this card is problematic for the format, at least not yet, but we're going to see how this adapts. But still a really powerful card, just a boss monster that can negate and can win games on its own just with its burn effect, and it's 3000, at least 3000 attack. Number 6, Lightning Storm. This card is the new age of pretty much Raigeki and Feather Duster. It's the reason Feather Duster is now unbanned, because we had a card that is actually more powerful because you can do both things, and Lightning Storm is something that if you drop on your opponent turn 1 when they have set up their entire back row, maybe with a deck like Altergeist or Subterrors, you're going to wipe them out. But even if they're not playing a back row deck, this card is really useful because you can just destroy all their attack position monsters. So unlike a card like Feather Duster, this card has uses against pretty much anything, and this is why it is such a powerful card and makes it a number 6 spot on this list. Number 5, Eldritch the Golden Lord. When this card came out, it was not the most broken thing because of something else that I'm going to include in the list a little bit later, but now it's starting to make an impact on the meta because it power crept all the other stuff and the ban list dealt with anything else. So Eldritch is something that people are splashing into a lot of stuff, so you can have a recurable engine that gives you a lot of power and it gives you disruption. You will see it with Dogmatica, you'll see it with Zoo, you will see it with pretty much anything you want, even Pure. So a really powerful monster. Actually a really powerful engine, but I'm putting Eldritch in here just because he's the star of the entire engine. engine, because the engine revolves around this card. If you don't have him on the field, it doesn't really do anything. Number 4, Forbidden Droplet. This card is Lightning Storm, but one step further. I'm pretty sure that it's so much broken than Lightning Storm because of its ability to be able to not being responded to. I know that it hasn't seen too much play recently because of stuff like Herald of the Arclight being very viable and stuff like the Buster Lock and Smoke Grenade. They were just dealing with it because it was not some of a disruption, it was something to let your opponent play, and then you'll just crack their board with this. But now that those are gone, you can expect this to be really powerful. It's the only good answer when you're playing against Virtual World, because if your opponent has 2 copies of Calamities on the field, they are just going to shotgun them, so anything like Dark Lord No More will not help, or Chalice because they have 2. So this card is the absolute best way to deal with a lot of multiple monster negations, so it's going to see play very, very much in the future, because combo decks are something that players always find attracted to, and they will try to make them as playable as possible. So if you can afford these, you basically need to have them, because you're going to need them again very soon, not just for Virtual World, I promise that. Number 3, Linkross. A card that recently made it to the ban list. This card was absolutely insane. In combination with something that I'm going to include in the list a little later, this was actually making the format a terrible place for anything other than a combo deck, because combo decks were just using this to make an unfair amount of advantage. Herald of the Arclight, like I said, was something that made cards like Forbidden Droplet basically useless, because you could not discard monsters, so unless you had a hand full of spells and traps, then yes, you will be able to use it, but then because you did not use a monster as a cost, then your opponent will be able to negate with something like a Savage, so it was pointless. So yeah, this card decided what was being played in the meta was not. 2 decks that were just so dominant are now not seeing at all because Linkross is banned, that being Infernoble and Dragon Link. So yeah, Linkross was something that was terrorizing the format. It was a good thing that it got banned, but still it was an amazing card and it deserves the number 3 slot on this list. Number 2, Adamantipator Researcher. This deck will always be remembered as the deck that never got to see real life play, because Block Dragon existed before it became a thing, and when it came out, people just saw the synergy. It was very obvious that rocks were just so powerful with a card like this, and it terrorized the format. It was so powerful, it could make so many negates, the deck has so many extenders, and even if you just destroyed your opponent's board with an Nibiru or something, if they did not Excavate Guardian, which was another thing that it had, it was a very resilient deck as well, then they would just drop you the Block Dragon from the hand, and you would scoop it up because you knew that after you summon, the opponent summoned that, then there was nothing you can do because they were going to refill their hand with tuners again, so they were just going to do that again, and Block Dragon was not once per turn. So Black Dragon is now on the ban list. The deck has been power crept now, because as a pure version without Block Dragon, the deck did not really see that much play. People started experimenting with it a little bit once Block Dragon got banned, but yeah, it quickly fell off the radar because it was not so powerful on its own. Still, it was probably the most competitive and the most dominant deck at recent memory that was just this deck and pretty much nothing else could compete. People tried to compete with Dogmatic Glitch, it was not good enough. So, yep, this deck will probably don't want to play again unless it gets some support. Block Dragon most probably will never come back, thankfully. And yep, this deck is the only deck that did not see real life play, because stuff like dragons, yes, even though Dragon Link became the best deck recently, but dragons have been seen play in pretty much for ever since LP and PC came out. So yeah, this deck is a bit unfair, but I'm happy that it doesn't really exist anymore as the best deck. Number 1, Crystal Hulky Fibrax. Everyone saw this coming, I'm pretty sure. It's pretty much the best card we've got this year, and the best card we've got since Firewall, to be honest, because it just makes everything work. Especially with Linkross, it was absolutely insane, because you would just get the tokens, then you would synchro for a Metal Marcher, go into Herald, go into other stuff. Now that Linkross is banned, I think we can see Fiber the way it was supposed to be used. We'll see him summoning Synchro Tuners from the extra deck, which is something that never happened before. You would always use it as a link material for Linkross. So right now it is not as dominant as it was with Linkross. It doesn't see that much play, but still it's such a broken card that I'm sure we're going to see it a lot. Aurora Dawn is still around, so stuff like that with Infernoble Knight can still be a thing. I'm pretty sure people are going to find a way to use these tokens to their advantage. So Fiber right now, not as broken as as it used to be, but with Linkross, you all will remember how exactly that was, and it was not very fun, so happy Linkross is banned, but Fiber is the one that enables everything because it just gets so much tuners out of the deck. It's the reason a lot of cards are now on the ban list, so we have the Firewall effect again, where the problematic card doesn't get hit and a lot of cards around it do get hit. So yeah, this card is the most broken card of 2020, and this is the card that made this year pretty much not so fun for a format for most players. And I know it's been a weird year, I know that we haven't seen a lot of real life play and a lot of tournaments, but yeah, even when playing online, having something like this was not a very fun experience. But now it's fine. I'm pretty sure that we're going to see it again very, very soon, but until then we can enjoy the format without it. So yeah, that's the list, guys. Konami has been doing a great job giving us cards. They just want to sell stuff, so they know exactly what they need to do with those broken stuff in order for them to get sold. The ban lists have dealt with pretty much anything that I've mentioned. The format is pretty good spot right now. I didn't include any Phantom Rage cards because, as you saw, all those stuff that I included were more towards the brokenness or the most of the generic stuff. And the problem with Phantom Rage is that it took a lot in order for those decks to see play Virtual World. Needed a specific ban list for it in order to see play without calamities getting hit and everything else getting destroyed. Yeah, Zeus is a great card that rejuvenated Zoo, but not to the point that Magician's Souls rejuvenated Spirals. So it's pretty much the exact same scenario. So these are the 10 best cards that we got this year. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you have any other suggestions for any other cards that you think were more broken than a card that I mentioned here throughout this year, please comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming content, and we'll see you next time.